Well, hello, folks. This is Bob Safale, and we are here for our Digital Experts Intelligence Report webinar. And I really thank everybody for coming in. I'm actually blown away by the number of people that are here already. I mean, this is the holidays, and it's really something. Now, the first thing I want to do here is I want to make sure that you can all hear me. Now, if you take a look on your screen on the upper right-hand side, you're going to see a little hand. Now, I just want you all to press on that little hand if you can hear me clearly. Just press on that little hand. That way I know that you all can hear me. Can you hear me? Start pressing on your little hands. I hope you can hear me. Hello, hello. I see one hand. Okay, I see some more hands. Put up some hands. Just click on that little thing. I know you can hear me. Fantastic. Well, once again, wow, the crowd is just filling up really fast. I'm glad we have enough room. Wow, this is huge. Listen, we're hosting these webinars every Thursday night at 8 o'clock precisely. So make sure, if you want to invite your friends, you can do that. Just send them over that link that you signed up with and let them know we start precisely at 8 o'clock. Boy, we're really rolling in. A lot of people are still trying to get in. It's a very simple system. I hope they can all get in. Huge crowd here. Listen, the purpose of these webinars is very, very simple. Our special guest, who I'm going to announce in a few minutes, owns a market research company that did a very, very extensive survey, I think almost 500 people, to find out what you, the crypto coin enthusiast or investor or whatever, wanted to know. And what you told us is that you wanted inside information on cryptocurrencies and how to pick the right cryptocurrencies, who to pick, what to pick, when to pick it, when to buy it, and when to sell it. So that's exactly what we're doing. Now, we then did a follow-up survey on another almost 500 people, and they told us the same thing. So that's what we're focusing on, folks. We're focusing on giving you the right stuff, the right inside information. And I just want to make sure, just click on your little hand again. Tell me, click on that hand if that's what you want to know about. Do you want to know about kind of inside information, secrets, what coins to pick, when to buy, when to sell? Just click on your little hand. Let me see. Oh, we got a lot of hands clicking. Click it on and off so I can see that. That's excellent. Okay. So remember also that at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you instructions on how to get your 10 free cloud coins. Now, I just want to make sure you all understand what a cloud coin is. It is the next generation of digital currency. It's been developed by a development team, a dev team they call them, that not only are expert system administrators all over the world, but they all are highly trained in anti-counterfeiting technology. And that's the difference between CloudCoin and some of the other blockchain technologies. Anti-counterfeiting is designed to spot anybody who's trying to trade a fake coin to somebody else. And why is that important? Because it takes very little encryption, very little programming. So you can, when you're using a cloud coin to pay for something, it's instant. The transfer is instant. And we're banking on that because we believe that the currency industry, digital currency industry, is going to explode once people can buy things at retail stores. So that's why we feel that CloudCoin is a major, major, major play. So at the end of this event, I'm going to tell you exactly how you register to get your 10 free cloud coins. And remember this, the first transaction ever of Bitcoin was 20 Bitcoins for a piece of pizza. I think that pizzeria owner is doing pretty good. Hopefully he held on to those coins. Now, I just kind of want to do a quick little recap of what we went over last week. Just a quick little recap. And what I want to focus on real quick is the type of investors. Okay, this is very important, the type of investors. And I'm going to kind of give you another look at what are the type of investors out there. And you want to make sure you're the right type. Now, there are really three types of investors. Number one, there are the folks that are called the buy high and sell low investor. Now, these are the folks that don't learn about whatever they're buying until kind of late in the game. They tend to buy when the news is out there big time, and they're kind of late. That's why they kind of buy high and sell low. They are followers, not leaders. Okay. Now, the second type of investor is a more careful investor. This is somebody who is called an index investor. Nothing wrong with that. These are folks that want to be a little bit more safe with their money. And what they do is they put their money in funds so that the funds are a little bit more safe. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And they rely on fund managers and folks that manage the money. And in general, the funds have been going up fairly well over the last few years, but they can go down. But it's a safe thing. The third type of investor is the value investor. Value investor. That's somebody that goes out and finds out market intel. They learn a lot. They learn before they go. There's a famous line in a movie about, well, there's folks that throw darts at a dartboard, and then there's people who find out the information before they even buy. The value investor is the person who seeks out information that gives them that insider knowledge. I feel that everyone here is a value investor, and the key thing is to make sure that you're always learning. The value investor is a person who's constantly learning, and that's very important. Now, let's just recap real quick. Last week, I talked about some of the trends happening, when people buy and when people sell, and I talked about Bitcoin. And if you remember, I don't know if y'all remember this, I was saying that there was going to be profit taking on Bitcoin. Remember that? I talked about that, and that was last week. And guess what? There's the profit taking, right? Look at that. Just boom, 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 boom. Now, people got a little scared there a bit. They were at almost $20,000, and the profit taking went down to as low as $12,000. Then some people started accumulating a little bit. Then it's kind of still, there's some profit taking going on. This is a 1-month trend. This is a 7-day trend. There's still profit taking. And if you recall, I don't know if y'all recall this, one of the coins I talked about that people were making money with, that profit takers were then going to start putting their money into a coin called Ripple. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. So I think we did pretty good. I think we gave some good advice there. Now, I want to show you one thing that's kind of important to see. What's still happening now is a lot of people are profit taking, and a lot of them are not putting money in the secondary coins. They're going lower. Now take a look at y'all see the little green, sudden bunch of green coins there? Those are third level coins. Okay, you see that? The third level coins? Everybody click on your little hand if you see the sudden blob of green coins there. You see that? Those are our third level coins, and they're pretty inexpensive. Okay, like Verge is an example. That's a 16-cent coin. Okay, look at that, baby. You want to know where that money is going right now? The Bitcoin profit taking is going right into Verge. Okay, here's another one right here, Rayblox. Another one. Boom! Look at that. That's where the Bitcoin profits are going. They're going right into this coin. Now, I want to show you one last thing before we bring in our special guest. And actually, I learned this little thing. I learned an element of this from our special guest, because he's among many things, he's a trend watcher. And I want to show you something very, very interesting. It's called the hockey stick. Okay, I want to show you some examples of this. Okay, start taking a look at some of these coins. I'm going to go back here. Okay, look at this. I'm going to go to BitConnect. I'm going to look at the trend. Look at the trend. There's always like this hockey stick. There's the handle, and then there's the stick. Boom. See that hockey stick? Now, if you start looking at that, what's happening with many of these coins? People are taking a long. They're accumulating these coins, and then when the rise starts, you get that hockey stick effect. Okay, so you got to be patient because there's going to be a handle, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and it's a bit more obvious when you take a look at Bitcoin itself. Let's see if I can pull up Bitcoin again. Sometimes this little computer is a little slow here. Let's see if we can pull this up fast here. Okay, take a look at the hockey stick of Bitcoin. Okay, look at the hockey stick of Bitcoin. Look at that stick. There you go. Boop, 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 boop. And there's your blade. Now, what you don't want to necessarily be is somebody way high on that blade. If you are wise and you are a value investor seeking knowledge at all times, you want to get into that. You want to get somewhere in that handle. So if you can find some coins where you're able to buy in at 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 cents and get involved at the handle, then you can have real fun with that stick. Because if you're at the handle at 3 to 5 cents and all of a sudden that blade at the top is $10, yeah, you get the idea. So I am very, very excited about our guest, who is somebody I have known for quite some time. He is been involved with financial advice and financial management for some pretty important people for I think, close to 4 decades. Now, he might correct me. He's also owned a market research company for 3 decades that is called On Target Research. So he not only he understands financial management and financial intel, but he also understands market research, and I think that's real important. And on top of that, he's a best-selling author, and he's written quite a few books. So without further ado, I want to thank and introduce you guys to Bruce Wiseman. He also, as an author, goes by the pen name John Truman Wolfe. So if you want to get some great financial books, you look for John Truman Wolfe, and that's Bruce's pen name. Hey, Bruce, how are you doing? Thanks for attending our little affair here.
Yeah, good, Bob. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, crystal clear. We can hear you quite well.
Okay, super. Well, hi, everybody. Delighted you're here. Gee, I see we've got a great group of folks.
It's getting bigger and bigger, isn't it, Bruce? They're just piling
in. Still growing. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I'm going to cover 2 main subjects in this my part of the webinar here. But first, I want to just touch on some basics. I know there are a number of people here who have that are familiar with the cryptocurrency universe, but I also know that there are some that are not familiar with the basics at all. So let me just reiterate one point that Bob made made last week and kind of touched on just a moment ago, is this in terms of investing. This is a new world. I've never seen anything like it. I've been involved in finance and investing and money all the way back to the 70s when I was a banker in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is a new world, folks. This is something that's never happened before. The never happened before is the fact that there are currencies trading in a way that are not governed by, they're decentralized is the word, and they're not governed by governments or banks or what have you. And so it's risky, it's volatile. You have an opportunity to make some really serious money, but don't invest money you can't afford to lose. This is home run money. This is money, ideally, that you hit it out of the park, but again, as Bob pointed out there in the introductory remarks, and you saw the graph, and if you've been following this world, Bitcoin, just to give an example of the volatility, but Bitcoin was up almost to $20,000 about a week ago, and then crashed down to 13,600, right in there, a huge dip, and then recovered, and has recovered not all of the ground. The last time I looked, it was 16 and change, but it moves very, very quickly. I'm just trying to make the point that this is a volatile world. So this is not like sticking money in your savings account in the bank. This is the Wild West.
You know, Bruce, I've noticed, Bruce, that it seems with this particular industry more than any I've seen that you'll have a coin that creeps along, and it almost seems like you're getting people buying and accumulating, buying. It's the people that are the insiders, and they start accumulating, and then it looks like it hits a critical mass, and then all of a sudden the trading starts jetting up a little bit. Is that what you see? Or, I mean, that seems to be, from the naked eye, that seems to be what happens.
Yeah, those formations, and you were talking about those hockey stick graphs, those formations seem to be very, very prevalent in the cryptocurrency world. And you've got, coins being introduced, and they're traded, and they're being accumulated by insiders, and then they ramp up. Yeah, that is typical of this investment sector.
And what kind of currencies are? I know, Bruce, you've been looking into the different types of currencies, and sometimes people get confused. What's this? What's that? It looks like you've identified several different types of currencies that people should be aware of.
I have. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to, just for the newbies on board here, let me touch on just some very, very basic stuff in cryptocurrencies, and then I want to do exactly what you said there, and go over the different kinds of cryptocurrencies, because not every one of these, I mean, you've got on your screen there a list of cryptocurrencies. What you can't see, I mean, you can go to that website and get a look at it, but what you can't see is on the screen there. We've got the top 10, but there are about 1,000 cryptocurrencies. And so I'm going to, again, touch on some basics, and then talk about the differences in the different kinds of these currencies. And I'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. For those of you that are super new, just to define, cryptocurrencies are basically, it's electronic money. These are digital or virtual currencies. They're called cryptocurrencies because they're secured using cryptography. Most of them, almost all of them, not all of them, but most of them. And the term cryptocurrencies gets used to cover essentially all 1,000 of these coins, but in fact, not all of them by far are actual cryptocurrencies. So what are the key elements of this universe? One are the currencies themselves. As you can see on your screen, there's a list. Bob's got the first 100 of them up there now. And you can go to this site and take a look at these things. I think the top 15 have market caps of in excess of 2 billion. I haven't looked at this graph in a couple of days.
No, you're right on the mark, Bruce. It's Bitcoin's by itself is a quarter $2 trillion.
Right. And then you go down, you can see that these and when we say market cap, just so there aren't any words that I don't understand, that means the amount of money that has been invested in buying these coins. You can see that on the third column there. On the first column is the name of the coin. Then there's the price. Then there is the market cap, how much money is in there. And last time I looked, it was the total was over $500 billion, or was about $500 billion. And that's the total market cap of all of these currencies. And as you can see, Bitcoin represents about half of that. And the number 2 currency's got 71 billion Ethereum. And you can study this graph and the list of these coins. It's a great asset to have. So one, in this world, you have the coins. These are digital currencies that are decentralized, meaning there's no government control, there's no bank control, and this is peer-to-peer, person-to-person, basically, exchange. This is what the founder of Bitcoin and the technology that makes the transfer of Bitcoin available, a guy named, well, I say a guy,
Yes,
nobody knows who this was. He goes by the person, the entity goes by the name Satoshi Nakamoto, who wrote a white paper on the subject of Bitcoin and the technology that enables it to be transferred, called blockchain. So number one, you've got the currencies. Number two, you've got exchanges. Exchanges are like stock brokerage houses. You know, if any of you have stocks, you know, you want to buy some General Motors while you tell your broker to buy it. The cryptocurrency exchanges are where you buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Here is a site. Again, this entire presentation will be available on Digital Frontier News, so you don't have to worry about scribbling notes real fast, because you'll be able to access this. But this is one particular site that lists the top 40 exchanges, and there are different abilities that these things have, and there are different aspects of, when you go in. Some of them won't even take American depositors. Some of these exchanges won't let you invest money. You just have to have Bitcoin to invest. As you can see there, this site ranks those exchanges, and you can see AA plus, and then they have a numerical rating on the side. I am familiar personally with Coinbase, which is number 2 there. Kraken, I don't know if Kraken's on there, Bob, somewhere. I'm sure it is. CEXIO, I'm familiar with, I've had dealings with, and Gemini. But you kind of have to get your own feet wet, go explore them. You can use this site. This gives some information. So this is this is element number 2 of the crypto universe. In that, 1, there's coins. 2, there are places to buy and sell coins. The third element is wallets. There are wallets where you store the coins. There's a list of wallets that will shoot up here in a minute, I think. There are different kinds of wallets. They do different things. I'm not going to try to explain all of the technology of the wallets. You can go to the site and read up on wallets and which one you like. This particular site is recommending Exodus. And I think Bob has told me he's going to have an expert on wallets do a webinar in the not too distant future. So stay tuned for that. And the final point, or the final element that makes all of this possible, is a technology called blockchain, which is a decentralized ledger that keeps track of, validates and keeps track of all of the transactions of the currencies. And while Bitcoin gets a lot of the press, the blockchain, which is again the technology that facilitates not only the trading of coins, but other things, contracts and other things, is really kind of, at least at this point, the hero of the piece. Now, that said, with that little review of the 4 key elements, which are the currencies, the exchanges, the wallets, and the blockchain itself, those elements make up the crypto universe. I'm sure there are people that could add elements, but those are the key 4 elements of the cryptocurrency universe. Now, Bob had mentioned that I was going to talk about the different kinds of coins and distinguish the different kinds of coins, and I want to do that because, as I said, not every one of those coins is a cryptocurrency. By currency, we mean something that can be used to as a medium of exchange. You can buy things. I mean, Bitcoin, there are actually 100,000 vendors on the planet that accept Bitcoin. That is not true for a lot of those coins, but in that sense, clearly, Bitcoin is a currency. It's something that can be used to purchase something. Now, it's also an asset because it gets more valuable and less valuable. Not different, really, than if you were to buy Swiss francs or Japanese yen or Chinese yuan, because the value of those currencies increase and decrease, but nothing at the speed with which these currencies trade. So the first kind of coin is a currency coin, of which Bitcoin, of course, is the leader. But there are other coins that follow how Bitcoin operates. They do a little bit of tweaking and then come out with their own brand.
Is that like Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum, Bruce?
No, those are essentially called alternative coins. The other actual currency coins, probably the best known is called Litecoin, L-I-T-E coin, Litecoin. There's also Namecoin, there's Peercoin, Dogecoin. These are actual currencies, and seek to become widely used currencies. Now, there are other coins that are called altcoins. The difference between a cryptocurrency and an altcoin is that the cryptocurrencies operate on the blockchain, the technology that permits the transfer of these kinds of digital assets. But the altcoins operate on their own blockchain. They have a different blockchain. So coins that, as Bob was mentioning, Ethereum and Ripple, which Bob mentioned last week and has gone up dramatically. Ripple, when I first looked at Ripple, which was a few months ago, I couldn't date it exactly, but it was 15 cents, 15, 16 cents. Ripple today is trading at, there it is right on the screen, $1.44. The difference between these, what are called alternative coins, altcoins, is that they operate on their own blockchain, their own software, and are bought and sold in that manner. Meaning they use that technology to trade back and forth, as opposed to using the Bitcoin blockchain. It's just, how can I make this simple? It's just a different technology. They have they develop their own blockchain or their own way to transfer, to buy and sell the coins. So those are altcoins. First are currency coins that are money. The second are coins that use a lot of the technology that was developed with Bitcoin, but have their own transfer medium, their own blockchain. And the third element, or the third kind of coin, are basically called tokens. And tokens are basically used for utility purposes, meaning that those coins represent something. Banks are using tokens to transfer data now, instead of actually doing the token itself.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'll read you.
Unbelievable.
I'll quote you something here. Tokens are a representation of a particular asset or utility that usually resides on top of another blockchain. I don't want to get too technical here, but these tokens are more, you can think of them more like stock, and they usually come from what are called initial coin offerings. There's some company that wants to develop a token to help banks do XYZ. So they raise money, people pay them money or invest money, and in return, they get tokens. And those tokens go up in value depending on how effective that company is in developing whatever it is they're developing. There's the European banks, Swiss banks and others are using a new token to transfer, do transfers that are much faster and more efficient than how banks have traditionally transferred money and assets.
Are people trying to buy tokens as well? Is that a marketplace? Tokens?
Yes,
Okay.
it is a market because it's like stock.
Right.
So they go up. It's more like you're investing in the company as opposed to in the coin.
Okay.
But yes, they do go up. Here's an article on a token being used in Europe, and I'm quoting now. An example of this would be UBS's new digital currency. UBS stands for United Bank of Switzerland. They're a huge Swiss bank. An example of this would be UBS's new digital currency, the utility settlement coin, which is set to launch next year for clearing and settlement of financial transactions. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. There's several paragraphs on.
Well, I think it tells us, Bruce, that sorry to interrupt, but I mean, there's so much information out here right now. People have really got to be on top of this. I mean, they've really, and I talk to so many people about just this world, and they're getting up to speed on what a Bitcoin is, but there's 99% more information in there.
Well, it's a whole new universe that's exploding in front of our eyes. I mean, it's just exploding. And the technology that facilitated decentralized communication called the blockchain has opened up all kinds of doors, not only the buying and selling of digital currencies, but other business as well.
Well,
so,
I know.
Yes,
I've only got you on for a couple more minutes because I know you're a pretty busy guy. Tell me about this. You got a little secret, don't you? There's another currency, or there's another something that's about to hit, or maybe it's already hit.
The other something is this. It's called Hashgraph. Remember that word, folks. Hashgraph. Some of you may be familiar with Hashgraph. It has just hit the scenes recently. What is Hashgraph? Hashgraph is a technology that facilitates the transfer of currencies and other business documents much, much, much faster than the blockchain. There have been for months complaints about the blockchain because there have been so many transfers, buying and selling of coins, that blockchain has been bogged down.
Well, slowing down. Yeah, absolutely.
And the technology of blockchain is such that it can process 7 transactions a minute. Oh, no, a second, excuse me. A second, whereas Hashgraph can process 250,000 transactions per second. So Hashgraph is basically a competitor and replacement to blockchain. It is much, much faster. It has better security. It's more efficient. And this is the coming technology of transferring digital currency and so forth. It is just, this is an underlying technology that permits the transfer of currencies and so forth. But, and here's the news, there is going to be a Hashgraph coin. It isn't released yet. It's coming soon. So like blockchain has Bitcoin, Hashgraph will have a coin.
Well, let
And
me alert everybody here. There are some people who are part of our dear crash training, and you know who you are. And as soon as we hear about this launch, this IPO or ICO, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get that instant alert. So Bruce, you got to let us know exactly when you hear this.
we we're staying
Stay
tuned.
tuned.
This is really kind of the for looking information from this webinar. Hashgraph. I mean, if you are interested in getting involved in more information, Bob will talk to you about that in terms of how we're going to be helping educate folks. But you can look up Hashgraph on the go to Google or Bing, look up Hashgraph, see the difference between Hashgraph and blockchain. And then the key information here is that there will be a Hashgraph coin, like Bitcoin is for blockchain. Hashgraph is going to have a coin. So
now, one other thing, Bruce. I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot. We know that there's going to be there always is a second wave or a second generation in any brand new business. I mean, that's just the way it is. And we believe, because of how much energy it requires to run a blockchain. I don't know if you all understand this or know about this. The number one miners, the people who actually produce Bitcoins, they're located in Iceland. Why? Because Iceland's really cold and it's got the world's cheapest energy. So the big issue for Bitcoin is the amount of energy it takes to generate the coins and the speed, as Bruce has said, on terms of transfer. Bruce and I are, yeah.
I'm sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to
I was
cut
just
you off.
going to say, companies like Hashgraph, like Cloudcoin, that are working on these fast transfers, they're the ones I think they're going to win. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, I would definitely say that. And also, here's the key point, and to repeat what Bob said, these miners that have to validate the transfer of Bitcoin have to use so much computing power. Again, to repeat what Bob said, some of them are in Iceland because I've seen pictures of these places. They have rows of computers the size of football fields because it takes that much computing power to validate a transfer of a Bitcoin. Get this, Hashgraph has no miners.
Exactly.
They have none. So instead of 7 transactions a second, 250,000 transactions a second, and the future of digital currencies, at least from what I can see at this point, is Hashgraph. That said, we'll keep you posted on when the Hashgraph coin emerges. And with that, Bob, I think I'll pass it back to you. And
very good. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Bruce, and we're going to also, Bruce and I are constantly looking at technologies that solve the problem of slow transaction speed and energy use. That's why we like Hashgraph. That's why we like Cloudcoin. And there are other technologies coming up, so we'll be sure to tell you about it. Now, we just got a few more minutes here, and I just want to touch on, we talk about technologies, we give you an idea of what are the coins we like. The second thing I always talk about are trends. What are the trends happening? And there are a huge trend, which is acceptability. And what do I mean by that? Well, you may not have heard of this, but Goldman Sachs last week is now starting up a trading desk, I believe in the summer, for cryptocurrencies. Now, we're talking about Goldman Sachs here. Now, why is that important? Because Goldman Sachs practically runs the U.S. government. Now, I say that and half jokingly, but not really, because when you're talking about cryptocurrencies and our people are going to get, is it going to be wiped off the map? Well, when you have Goldman Sachs jumping into the scene, along with the huge commodity traders, we're talking billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions of dollars going into cryptocurrencies. And I could tell you right now, the guys, in the government, I'm showing you a list of all the former Goldman Sachs people who are now in the government. Now, do you think they're really going to, stop cryptocurrencies? let's be real here. And so I really want to point that out, that the trend in terms of regulations is going in the direction of cryptos because people are making money. And Goldman Sachs wants to make money. And Goldman Sachs, former partners are now littered into the government. So I just want to point that out. Now, I think you all see that the key to being successful in this crypto world is having education. And I want to keep on showing everybody here that you are really ahead of the curve. And I want to show you this one thing here, which is real important. This is an op-ed regarding whether Bitcoin is a bubble or not. Well, let me just show you one piece of information. This little graph is what's called the S-curve. And this S-curve shows you when a technology or a product like the internet or television or radio starts getting accepted. Now, I want you to focus on this purple curve. That's the number of people who get involved with the technology, okay? Now, I told you last week that you guys are the earliest of the early adopters. You are at the first 0.25% of people who understand what's going on. Now look at the S graph. The S graph says that the folks that are the innovators, the 2.5%ers, and then the early adopters, guess what? Those are the folks that make a killing. In order to make a killing, you got to have information. That's why we've developed a very special program called Digital Experts Intelligence Report. This is crash training. This is crash training that basically we're providing to a very small group of people that's going to educate people on how do you pick a coin? How do you find a coin? How do you look into the internal dynamics of a coin? When do you want to know to sell a coin? In what type of wallet do you want to use? These are the things that we're teaching with the crash training, which gets launched January 2nd. We also supply instant. This is a 90-day crash training, and the first thing we focus on is how do you pick a coin? When do you buy a coin? When do you sell a coin? What and what do you look into in terms of the internals of the coin? The second thing we provide we call it the DEAR report, by the way, DEAR. We provide you instant alerts. So when we feel a currency, like we felt that Ripple last week was going to really make a move. Guess what? It really made a move, a huge move. There are coins that our experts are identifying. And what we do, if you are a DEAR member in the crash training, you will get instant alerts. We think we'll probably be sending out between 2 to 3 instant alerts a week starting January 2nd. In addition to that, we're going to be doing special insider recordings where I do 15-minute speed interviews with people like Bruce and other folks. So we will be sending those interviews down to you, the folks that are the DEAR members. And then last but not least, we are going to supply an ongoing constant information track. Get the idea that we have this frequently asked questions that's added to literally every day, every single day, new information. So you can go down this track and you know what's really happening. So this program, it's called DEAR Crash Training, is available, and we are going to be closed. It's going to be limited. We had a whole bunch of people join last week, and we are going to be opening this up, and it's going to start January 2nd, and it's going to run for 90 days. And during those 90 days, you're going to get access to these speed lessons. You're going to get access to these instant alerts. You're going to get access to our ongoing interviews that we send only to DEAR members. And the cost, we wanted to keep it real low, is only $199. And guess what we're doing right now as well? Just $199. And I can tell you, if you don't make that money back very, very rapidly by just the information we're providing, I'd be shocked. But we also want you to get used to using and hanging on to coins. So remember those cloud coins I was telling you about that have been running a trading range of about 3 to 8.5 cents, 3 to 10 cents. They're in a hockey handle right now. They're doing one of those handles where people are accumulating the cloud coins. So right now they're doing that little handle I showed you. Okay, so we want to be able to provide you 2,500 cloud coins for anybody who purchases the DEAR program in the next 2 hours. Okay, next 2 hours. That means if you buy in the next 2 hours, $199, you can get that. And you go to digitalcurrencygrowth.com info product. So you go to digitalcurrencygrowth.com info product. You can also find it at digitalfrontiernews.com info product. You go to the bottom of the page, you learn all about it. It's right here. Learn all about it. You click on that order now, and the next 2 hours, if you order in the next 2 hours, you get 2,500 cloud coins. 2,500 cloud coins. And so that we think that's real exciting. Now, here's what happened last week. We had so many people trying to order. People couldn't even reach me because they had questions about how to order. So I want you to write down my email address again. That's bob@digitalcurrencygrowth.com. That's bob@digitalcurrencygrowth.com. So if you have a question, please order. Now, I think we do have some level of a cutoff on this. I think it may be limited tonight. So make sure you get in your order so you get your 2,500 cloud coins with your course. The course launches January 2nd and goes for 90 days. All right, one last bit of housekeeping here. In order to get your 10 free cloud coins for attending our event, you go to Digital Frontier News, you go to webinar section, and you're going to see a registration section on the right-hand side. You see that? Just fill your first name, last name, email address. That way you've proved you've attended our webinar. We only provide the 10 free coins to people who have attended. Now, one other thing. We had a huge number of people last week. We've almost got all their coins out. I think almost 95% now got their 10 coins. I think the last people are being delivered those today and tomorrow. If you register to get your coins tonight, and you should, hope you do, it'll take between 5 and 7 days to get your 10 free coins. So once again, I really appreciate you attending. If you want to get involved with the DEAR program, that's the DEAR program, the DEAR Crash Training, make sure you go to digitalcurrencygrowth.com and look for info products at the navigation bar. digitalcurrencygrowth.com info products. It's also at digitalfrontiernews.com info products. You can become a DEAR member and get access to our instant alerts. You'll have access to our speed training. You'll have access to our interviews with experts like Bruce, and we'll have access to that ongoing, ever-growing FAQ. I want to thank you all for attending. We ran a little long. I'm sorry about that. And make sure, listen, you can invite your friends. Now, if you have your link, you can send that link out to other folks, and they can register too. So I want to thank everybody for attending. Appreciate it. And Bruce, I want to thank you again for, I hope you still are on the line. Bruce, I want to thank you for all your insights. It's been invaluable. Thank you much, folks.
Bye-bye.